Welcome to episode 26 of our 30 days of Marvel Rivals education. So we are coming down to the last few episodes of the series. I hope that you guys have been enjoying these. We are going to end these last few really strong and get you some really good episodes going. So today, episode 26 is going to be about muscle memory versus game sense. Basically, how playing on autopilot is kind of hurting you and how you're really not making the best of decisions because of that. So just because you've done it 100 times doesn't mean it's right. So what we're going to do today is we're going to fix those habits that are holding you back. Sound good? Sound good by me. As we get started, I'm just going to take 2 seconds to say this. If you can just do me a giant favor and just hit that like button, that's all I'm going to ask at the beginning of this video. We'll ask more at the end, but at the beginning, that's all we're going to do for now. So basically, what is autopilot gameplay? It's basically repeating these same actions over and over and over again without really thinking. So a few examples of that are always taking the same path from spawn. If you're just walking back, going down main and just not getting any kind of value because of it, because you're just entering the fight from the same area over and over again, and you're not really making too much of a different impact, and you're just kind of getting picked off after a few seconds, then you just come back and you do the same thing over and over again. Well, that's autopilot gaming, because that basically means that you're just doing the same thing over and over and over again, and you're just not really having a impact on the match at all. Or something along the lines of always using your cooldowns the moment they're up. A big problem that I have is that I'm really trying to fix, even though I'm pretty good at him, but I'm still trying to fix it, is because, you know, I do this all the time as well. So, you know, it's not like I'm immune to it either. Everybody does this every once in a while. But something that I do a lot with when I'm playing with Wolverine is I'll pop his E passive or his E ability where he just takes reduced damage. And even though it's for like 6-7 seconds, I do it like 2-3 seconds in advance, and then I lose some time on that ability, and then I kind of just waste it. So it's my fault because I just don't really think of it in advance. But it's stuff like that, just using your cooldowns like right when they're up without really thinking about it. That's a big way that you're playing on autopilot as well. Or on top of that, committing to fights the same way regardless of enemy comp or positioning. So if you're just going in doing the same thing over and over again and the same results are happening over and over again, where you're just walking into a fight, you're getting eliminated, walking back, going into a fight, getting eliminated, walking back, going into a fight, getting eliminated, walking back, no matter what's happening, like you're not switching things up, you're not thinking, you're not playing differently at all. So from there, you're kind of just on autopilot, you know? So kind of want to change that up a little bit if you can. So basically the problem with autopilot, because, you know, a lot of us have issues with that. So the problem with it is you're reacting, you're not really adapting. And that's a big issue right there. Adapting and being proactive is one of the biggest things that you can do in this game. And it separates the okay, good players from the great players. Being proactive is the best way to play this game or games in general like this, because it means that you are one step ahead of your enemy, and if you do that, then you're probably going to be in a better situation to win. So what you do as well is you stop noticing things like teammate positioning when you're on autopilot as well, because you're just like, well, I'm over here, it doesn't really matter what my allies are doing. And that's not really that good because you're not really getting any assistance from them, you're not helping them at all, and you're just two different players, but you're on the same team. You're not teammates at that point. And also enemy flanks as well. You're not really noticing that as well. Like your allies, your supports could be getting dove in the back and you just don't care. So stop playing on autopilot, help your supports in the backline. They need help. And if you go back and you help them, and if they get peel from you, then they'll be able to survive and they'll be able to help you with the next fight. So don't play on autopilot and help them out, guys. And as well as that, one thing that as well that I've been a victim of this as well, and I've done this as well, is objective timers. I have completely missed out and been like, oh wow, that objective is at 99%. Whoops, I didn't even realize that. And then it just goes through and then the round's over, and then either the round's over or the match is over. It's things like that. And that happens to me every once in a while, and I don't know, it's kind of embarrassing every once in a while, I'm not gonna lie, but it does happen. I can't lie. Or things that happen a lot that a lot of players do when they're on autopilot is you kind of feel busy, but you're not creating value, you know? Like you're shooting out there, you're trying to do damage, stuff like that, but like damage that's just getting absorbed and sponged, where it's not having any real effect, where you don't feel like you're actually, you know, pumping anybody down to 0% health. It's just damage at the end of the day. You're just trying to pad a stat to make yourself feel better, you know? So try it. It would be better to do less damage, but more effective damage, if that makes sense. So if you're putting pressure on a support instead of just shooting the first tank that you see, that's probably a little bit smarter use of your time and your just overall damage as well. So just try and think about that. So what is game sense, right? Because we're comparing it to autopilot versus game sense. What is game sense? Basically, it is real-time awareness of multiple things. First is going to be who is alive on the battlefield. Is it your allies? Is it the enemies? Where are they all located? Are you in the front of it? Are you in the back of it? How can you get to the enemies in the best way possible? Basically being aware of who's around at that moment in time. Also, another thing is where pressure is building. That is a huge thing that I feel like that is not something that the common player has. If you understand where the pressure is coming from, where it's building, and kind of gonna be like, hey, this is where it's gonna culminate, that is a big thing to think about. If you're like, hey, there's the supports in the back, the tanks are over here, the DPS are on the side looking for damage, looking for an ultimate, right when they're, you can tell by body language, especially with tanks when they start to get more aggressive, that they have ultimate. You could tell by DPS if they start to get insanely more aggro, they're gonna most likely have their ultimate. They're gonna be ready to go. So you have to understand with that awareness is, are they going to use your ult or use their ult? And in turn, how are you going to affect that? Like, are you going to be counter ulting them? Are you just gonna kind of wait it out? You're gonna try and dodge it? What are you going to do? That is a big thing of awareness and game sense, is understanding where that pressure is and how to avoid it, or how to absorb it, or how to counter it, things like that. Or things like this. Another thing about awareness is what tools do you have and your allies have. So one thing I was talking about is ultimates. Cooldowns are a huge way to go, because I've talked about this, I can't even tell you how many times at this point, and it's kind of my go-to example. But Loki totems, in my opinion, is one of the highest forms. It's one of the best skills in the game as a base ability. Being able to be invincible while inside of them and get insane healing, that is amazing. First of all, that is amazing. So just seeing what's available, if they can help you through situations, if they can help you through whatever, just think about that, because that is the kind of thing that is going to make or break a fight in some situations. And being aware of that is a great way to go with this game. I'm telling you guys, if you can become aware of that and realize who has what in a fight, it is going to help you out so much, I promise you. It's basically the skill of making good decisions with incomplete information, if that makes sense. Basically, you kind of deduce and you're like, okay, I assume that this player has ultimate, so I'm going to play around that information, and I'm going to kind of prepare for this. And in turn, my way to prepare is, if they do use their ultimate, I'm going to do this instead, right? But if they don't have their ultimate, I'm going to go with this plan. So it's basically having multiple plans in one play and being able to be like, okay, well, whatever happens, I have an answer for it, if that makes sense, right? So how do you shift your muscle memory to game sense? Ask a few questions to yourself mid-match. I want you to actually do this, guys. Like this isn't me being a rhetorical question. I want you guys to actually do this. What does my team need right now? Do they need more damage? Do they need you to peel for the backline? Do they need you to tank and kind of hold space? What do they need from you? And from there, if you can't answer that question, then ask. Like literally ask. Ask your team. Like you can actually ask, but you don't need to ask. But it's one of the things where you kind of just think, be like, okay, the enemy's here, I'm here, my team's there. What can you do in this situation to get the absolute best result possible? Just think about that, right? Another question that you could ask is this fight still winnable? And if it is, cool, keep on fighting. If it's not, then either do one of two things, right? Either fall back and regroup with your team and protect your team on the way out, or you can stall point for as long as possible. If it's an objective based game, you can stall point for as long as possible if you have the point. That way you can get as close to 100% as possible. Or if it's like a cart type game and you need to just like stall for there, yeah, stall as long as you can, if that's the right call. If your enemies are like, or if your allies, I'm sorry, if your allies are just getting eliminated and then you're kind of getting eliminated slowly but surely, one at a time, and if you can keep on stalling, that is great for you, because this is a time-based game, and if you could run out that clock as long as possible, that is the way to go. Or one more question that you can ask as well is, who should I help next, right? This game isn't all about being on offense. You can help your allies as much as possible, even if you're not a support, right? Even if you're not a support, you can help your allies every single step of the way. So how can you help them? Can you take some pressure off of them by shooting the person that's shooting them? Can you cut off the enemy's heals? How can you go forward with this? So these are just a bunch of things to think about. So pause between fights and actively reassess. If you're aiming at somebody and like you have like a 2-second window where they went behind the cover and you're like, okay, I've got no way to aim at right now, reassess. Who can I help? What does my team need right now? Is this fight still winnable? Things like that. Keep on asking questions. Guys, the questions are the greatest way to go in the world. Always ask yourself questions. And one of my favorite quotes is, be curious, right? So always just ask questions. Ask questions of yourself, ask questions of your teammate, because once you have those, like asking questions, you're going to get new answers every time. You never know. It makes you a better player and all that stuff. So just think about that kind of stuff, right? So guys, thank you so much for watching. I really enjoyed this episode. I thought that this was a really fun one, where this really is something that even I deal with a lot. I still struggle with this. Like, I have a lot of issues with this. So I'm even trying to get better with this myself, because I'm not perfect. So, you know, and I'll be the first person to say that. So guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed. If you did, hit that like button for me. Comment today. This one's going to be a little bit of a niche question, but I feel like some of you guys might understand this. So do you guys have a favorite musical artist where they have a very popular hit, but that's all that most people know? But you're like, oh no, I love this artist, and they've got so much good music besides this. So like dig a little deeper. Like, does that make sense? So for me, I love the Killers, but everybody's like, oh, I like Mr. Brightside. But I'm like, no, they have so many more songs than that. Like, yeah, it's a good song, but dude, they've got so many good songs. But yeah, that's my question for today. So are there any popular artists that you think that people need to listen to more often? So guys, thank you so much for watching. Also, subscribe, guys. Subscribe to the channel. We've got so many new subscribers lately, and you guys are awesome, but we could always use more. So guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Later.